Okay, so we are recording now. So Patricia, did you want to start?
Yes. I guess I'll start by saying, well, hello everyone. Unfortunately, Rich can't be here with us today because this week is our ISO certification and he is very much leading that. So I will be chairing our meeting today. And so our last meeting, we didn't get a lot of participants. I think a lot of you were on leave. And we were supposed to agree on what our first workshop topic was going to be. So because not a lot of you were here, and we just went with the easy topic, which was digital lamps that had a lot of interest. So the idea is that today we plan for that workshop so that we make sure that we are meeting everyone's expectations and that the outcomes of that are satisfying to all of us. And later on, we will discuss our next steps with regards to the following workshops. I will share a document with you now that is basically just a conversation starter for us. So our initial proposal for how we go about this, and the idea is very much that we discuss it and we change it as we go. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Patricia, and I was wondering if I could interrupt for a second. And
yes, please.
Because Cello needs to leave at the top of the hour, and there were some, a short list of things that he needed to cover with this group, which we'd ordinarily put at the end, but if we could put that at the beginning, and then make sure we have time to get into what you're doing here, which is great.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you, Scott. So just a couple of points that I wanted to cover. One is that it's really valuable for people to share what they're doing and things like that. I think for everybody, it's kind of good learning experience. So we really want to also encourage the further development of business process models, or maybe parts of them, just like the way we've defined it in the our work plan for year 2. So also I've been getting quite good feedback, positive feedback from the previous sessions when people were sharing what they're doing, and it was very much appreciated. So the first thing I wanted to, well, the one thing that I also want to emphasize for those who are sort of having any issue with business process modeling or would need help or assistance, Mike Barnett's joined the call. So if you, he's the key resource for helping people review their models, help them track down the resources, whether it's to learn about BPMN and things like that. He's also curating the overall model. So just take advantage of him. I've been taking advantage of him for 40 years. So just, I'm telling you, it works. So the other thing is that not everybody in different organizations is going to sort of get to the sort of hardcore modeling work. So if you identify specific resources, folks who are doing this, and they are kind of lonely in your organization battling this weird business process modeling stuff, we're also trying to set up a group of quote business process modelers from different utilities that can share their experience, work together, and eventually become sort of like a primary user group for our value sector value model, and sort of help others. We had a plan that some of the people who have been doing it for the first couple of years of the project would take the lead on that, but the plan was sabotaged because both of them got promoted. The Mike Stahl and Kevin Simmons got promoted and given different responsibilities. So now we're looking for to replace them with some new sort of modeling leaders. And so that's really what I wanted to emphasize. It'll be really nice by May if we had some case studies of real tangible improvements that we can document and that people in utilities can take to their bosses and say, hey, this is why it was worthwhile, this is what we're able to do, and stuff like that. So I'll just stop at that.
Hey, Cello, this is
Yes.
Mike. If I could just add, I'm here to help. And I know some of the group is the first time I've joined this meeting, but I'll get the list from Cello and I'll email you separately just to see, what case study are you working on and how we can help support you. We do everything from, formal training to just sessions on the fly to help you get familiar with and comfortable with building these models. But I can do some of the modeling as well. So just let me know how I can help. Thanks, Cello.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Back to you, Patricia.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Just taking notes. Okay. So I'm assuming everyone can see my screen and that it's big enough for you to read. So I thought we started with what are we trying to get out of this workshop, right? So that we can agree. We have a couple of, well, actually 3 bullets suggested here, which is that this is to be visualization of what a digital lamp could look like, that we understand the challenges and the benefits of building a digital lamp, and that we also address any existing questions regarding building digital lamps, especially using the Esri Story Maps tool, which is the one that we used in Team 2100 and presented to you. And in order to address those questions, it would be good if we could agree that questions get sent to us in advance of the workshop so that we can build in time to address those. And also that we enhance our existing set of business processes in developing an AM plan to B model. I guess now is when I open the floor for any questions, suggestions, additions, or removals. Is this what we're expecting to see on our workshop? Were you hoping for more or less?
Or you just did such a good job of summarizing it, Patricia, but people should raise their hand and comment. So they seem to be concurring, I guess, with what the expected outputs and next steps would be. And then you were going to move to background preparation for the workshop?
Yeah, I guess Cello has his.
Oh,
yeah,
there we go. Cello.
I just want to raise the hand and say we have found through a lot of the workshops is that interaction and participation is really the key for everybody to enjoy the workshop. So our goal between now and the 15th will be to structure the workshop and the interaction. So in that time, we will send you some questions, probably in emails or maybe even some communication. So I would just really ask for your help to respond to those questions, because it'll help your answers will help us improve the workshop. We will also, there's a chance that we will use a tool, Mural, which means that we will provide information ahead of time, try to test everything, all the logistics before the workshop, so that it goes smoothly. So the more you can do to help us in that preparation, the better is the workshop going to work out for you, for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, I'll assume we're all in agreement due to silence, and we can always come back to it when we get into the contents of the workshop and how we think it's going to go through, if we think anything is missing. So the one thing that the other thing that we're going to ask from you, other than answering the questions, will be to basically just review the AMP overview video, which we will post on MS Teams. Now, my question to you is, what do we want that video duration to be? And because we discussed last meeting that maybe it should be a very short video, like a 8-minute video. But then there's only so much that we can cover in 8 minutes or a short video. So I guess now is where I would like to ask you whether you would like for me to cover more on the background of it, the possibilities of the tool, the limitations, what is required from the system, and in terms of licenses. Do I do a how to build an AMP in story maps demonstration on the video? Do I go into timeline and resources, database and data management for the AMPs? Or do we want to cover those during the workshop, which probably means there will be some time where I'm going to be talking, and then we would go into questions. I thought that this would be a set of things to cover, and we can choose to cover some in the preparatory video and some during the workshop, whatever you feel is best. But just keeping in mind, how long can this video be? How long do we want it to be?
This is Brittany. I just have a thought on the how to build the quick live demonstration. Would it be possible for that to be like a smaller separate video? It just seems like that's something that would take a little bit more than being, a part of one large video. It seems like need more time for it to really get like a good demonstration through it. So maybe like a separate video for that one.
Yeah.
This is Cello. I had actually a very similar thought, and I think that we can talk offline on. You can do it today. Is what we've done on the workshop for the people topics. We did 2 videos. And they covered different. So one was 6 minutes, the other one was 7 minutes. So I think when I look at the outline that you have, I think it's all valuable. I think that it is all important. And my instinct would be to say maybe 2 or 3 videos that are shorter.
Okay.
So that they because then also when we post them, it's there was research done recently from this education group, and they found that the most effective videos are between 3 and 7 minutes. So I think that this is excellent content that you are offering, really interesting, and I think that they may even have different audiences. So, for example, when you kind of show how you've done things and what all you can do, I think that would be great, because if somebody in a utility wants to, tell internally, and I would make it, so that if somebody internally wants to go to their boss or the, general manager and say, hey, this is why this would be a good idea, they could just give them a link to the video without having to go through all the, all the gory details. And then also there's a video for people who will be maybe on the front line, the first line, trying to make this happen. And for them, they'd look at the, the geek edition, which is the, the one that actually shows people how to do it. So that'd be my very similar to what Brittany was saying.
Okay. So tools and limitations could be one, and then I can even show more examples of story maps, system license and requirements, timeline and database, and timeline and resources, and then database and data management is sort of the geek part 1, and how to build is the geek part 2.
That's perfect. That sounds perfect. I see Chris Wu and Scott have their hands up.
Yeah, just another angle on it would be that there's sort of like, well, what is it, regardless, and what are the components and, tool possibilities and limitations and stuff. And then there's kind of your story, which is what have you done? Is another kind of lens, a couple different ones, because I think ultimately I think we would want to take your experience and turn it into almost a business process in the end, and a case study.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what was been discussed and suggested by a couple people here. Definitely want to echo the value of this type of materials. And as Cello mentioned, there are different internal audiences that I would love to share. The IT, my manager, utilities, and they may have different interests, like different side of the digital amp that they want to see. So separating into different videos definitely makes sense. And also, if any slides materials are available, they'll be also great to share some of the cool graphics into some of the other presentation. For example, I'm preparing a deck for just to introduce what UAIM to a new manager. So stuff like that will be very helpful.
So,
We're just giving more work to to Patricia, right?
the presentation is going to be an easy one. I basically have it. It's just pulling slides together from different presentations I've done so far, and the videos is I guess it's easier to do 3 short ones than 1 long one, because then I don't have to stop and do it all over again when I get something wrong.
Yeah, and Patricia, if you'd like, I sent you links to the couple of videos that I've done for the people topics, and I'd be glad to talk to you about just how to do it in such a way that you minimize, if you try to fix something, how just on the mechanics of it. Yeah, we can have a session. And I also want to make a pitch to everybody. We will have workshops on workforce and organizational culture during the week of that week, on the 14th and 16th and 17th. So it'll be workshops every day that week, a workshop every day. So if you're interested in attending those workshops, please send me an email and let me know so that I can put you on the invite list for the workforce organizational culture, and then putting them together.
Nice. Okay. So I'll do that. Yes, go ahead. Sorry, Scott.
Well, because what we're finding is that these improvement teams like yours are doing a fantastic job, but we're also recognizing that the people side of the business is actually even a bigger challenge, and basically to engage the workforce and to basically deal with organizational culture aspects. So it could be good background and be useful to members of this team, to see that as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Cello, before I forget, quick question.
Yes.
From what you just said with the workshop schedule, is there a way that you could send, if maybe it's already there, is there a way you can send calendar appointments that put it on our calendar? Because I have a dynamic schedule, maybe others too, that we would contact you, it would prompt us to do what you asked us to do if we can attend.
What I can certainly do is send you invites to these, to these sessions. Yeah,
that's great. That's what I was looking for. Thanks.
Yeah, the reason I corrected the problem that I found a way around the problem I was having before, so now I can actually do that. Before I had a technical issue that was making it difficult for me to do that. So I wrote down you, Mike, and then anybody else who wants to participate in the workforce organizational culture. There'll be one on workforce, one organizational culture, and then a report out on Thursday from these 2 sessions. Just send me an email and I'll put you on the list.
In Cello, there may be, I think there would be others on other improvement teams that would be interested in this particular workshop as well, attending this particular workshop. So I don't know what your best method to handle that is, but I would expect people would have interest in this topic.
Yeah, I can send like to all hands, which is like 106 people.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and the thing is that yeah, I will do that. I have to be a little bit careful. What I found out is if I ask like 4 questions in an email, very rarely I get 4 answers. People usually give me 1 or 2. They don't cover all the points. So I'm trying to figure out how to avoid people getting annoyed with my emails, or how, you know, what's the best distribution between content and the asks and the number of yeah.
You know, Cello, I mean, we're getting too deep into the details here, but even a doodle poll to those people with a matrix of here are the workshops and which ones do you want to attend, and then might be a simple a way to avoid a lot of disaggregated you know, emails.
Good idea. I'll do that later today.
Chris? Oh, had you just? No
Yeah,
question?
sorry. Yeah, it was my old hand.
Oh, that's okay. All right. Okay, so let's dive into what do we expect from the content of this workshop. So again, this is all very much just an initial proposal, very much up to discussion. So basically, a very basic introduction, 1 to 2 slides maximum. Just covering some overviews of the challenges of digital transition. So identifying the challenges across utility partners. And then here it might be one of the questions that we send to you that would be nice to get your feedback on, so that we can, you know, map all the challenges that all of us have been facing with those digital transition issues. And we would then go into sort of the areas of focus of the actual AMP content. So the use and utility of a digital AMP, what are its benefits, some of the challenges, both in use and in the adoption of the digital AMP. So how does this work on a day-to-day basis? Who accesses it? It builds off on our challenges also. And then going into field working, how can this link to field working? Who do we anticipate will use this? And it will also link to some of the contents in the videos where we talk about database management and all the possibilities around that. Yes, Scott.
Looks excellent to me, Patricia. I was just going to emphasize Cello's earlier point that around these different topics, just finding a way to really emphasize participation and feedback from the group, so people are participating. You know, so it's not just one way.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if there's time in this particular, whether you incorporate not a case study, but you know, kind of your experience and your lessons learned or something like that. But you don't want to make it too one way. But I think people would be interested in, well, how, you know, what was it like implementing this? How difficult was it? How did you engage, you know, people in it? How long does it take? You know, those kind of things. Lessons learned, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so the reality is, we were hoping this would be sort of a brief session, and we would take more time to address questions that people hopefully will have from watching the videos, and then we could dive into discussions.
Yeah. Yeah. Or get even some interchange, you know, and feedback and questions on even these 4 things that you have listed, so that people can talk about those benefits or talk about those challenges, and you know, kind of explore those a little bit collaboratively.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically for the workshop, that's all we had to suggest. And assuming what we will cover in the videos, we'll start to give you some questions. We were hoping that the questions you might have might help us, you know, guide the workshop and make sure we address those to the group, because one person's question might be the other one.
What about other comments? There's people on the phone. I've talked too much, and Cello, but what about, and Chris, but what about the rest of you? Does this make sense? Do you have any additional feedback? Brittany?
Yeah, no, it all sounds good to me for the workshop. I think it's a great load of content to have for it.
And Rebecca, you had your, oh, Rebecca's requesting to join. Yeah, what about the rest of you?
Hi, this is Iga. I love this, and to Scott's point, I guess if we can give like more concrete examples on the how you initiated and how you implemented, that would be really helpful. Like that goes through the how you engage people to gain the interest and how did you put all the different group together and engage all the stakeholders, and then how the IT side works out and all. Maybe more into the list. I don't know. And how, I guess, to keep people long-term interest and keep using this to make it sustainable live.
That's a great point that you just made, because one of the features of this is that it is continually updated and updatable, and you know, that's one of the benefits of this type of model that they're using.
Yeah, I guess it might be interesting to look at how building the digital AMP interacts with your building, like developing your AMP, your normal development type of process, because they could very much go together, or they could absolutely be done in separate. You can work through your asset management planning activities, and once you have your results, you can just give them to a person and say, please just build a digital AMP out of this for me, assuming you have some interaction with them, of course, and can guide them through the process, which is how I did the first one. And then now that I am going through a second round, I am actually redeveloping my AMP through a new process. I am doing it as we go. So as we get new results, I present it in the format of the AMP, and how the tools allow me to present the results, and that gives us much better visibility and allows us to make better decisions, I would just say.
Doug had his hand up.
Yeah, Scott, I think this is fantastic content. I'm really looking forward to the workshop. I guess I just have a logistical question. On my calendar, I still have just the hour meeting we have here at 8:30 on the 15th. And if there's a longer time period scheduled, which it seems like there ought to be for all of this content, I don't have that.
Yeah, let's cover that on that same. Let's see, which date was it again? The 15th.
15th,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't a conflict with another team that's going to be doing it during the week. Maybe we could ask the group whether they want to extend this, say, to an hour and a half. I mean, or at least build in more time if it goes longer. if you wanted to even go 2 hours, we could, but we didn't want to interfere with other things that people had on their own calendars. What do people think?
I was under the impression that Doug said you don't have time for more, or you don't have it in your calendar.
No, it's not on the calendar.
Okay.
But Doug's question is a good one. There's a lot of content here, and there's going to be a lot of participation. So how do people feel about making it an hour and a half rather than an hour?
I could have a hard stop at 10 that day, but I think an hour and a half would be great, and we could even slide this back and start a little earlier if that works better for people too.
I'm afraid I can't start earlier. I can finish later.
Okay, well, I can go an hour and a half and would be willing to.
What about others?
I could do that as well. I think that'd be great just to have the extra time built in case we need it.
I agree too.
Okay, well, that's important. So we'll want to schedule this for an hour and a half. And it does seem like there's a lot of content and that there will be a lot of interest and people want to participate, in it. And we may have a larger audience too, which will be, probably extended a little bit too. So I'll go ahead and pass along to Cello that we want to extend it to an hour and a half, and that should work.
Yeah. Okay. And then I guess just as a request, any suggestions as to how we can make this as interactive as possible is very much appreciated, because I'm afraid it's going to be a lot of me talking until we get to the questions, of course. But then I'm going to be talking again to answer them.
And we'll want to emphasize that people are expected, really, we're assuming people will look at the videos ahead of the workshop. So we're not going back through all of that, which would take a bunch of time. It'll be just the short, introduction and reminder maybe, and then what we're trying to accomplish. But that people will come having looked at that, and if they don't, that's their loss, but they'll still get benefit. But that's what we're assuming.
Yeah, and I'll plan to post the videos by Monday next week, so that you have a whole week to watch them. Okay, and so assuming we are satisfied with the workshop contents, our next steps would be then to actually have the workshop on the 15th. And then for our first January meeting, which I'm afraid I don't have the date right now, we would plan for the second workshop. And then I guess the activity that I had here, that I don't know where it went, that we have to do between the December 15th and January meeting is just to decide what the second workshop topic is going to be. And somebody has their hand up. Is that Mike?
Yeah, sorry, the delay. First of all, this is, I hope I can make this workshop. This sounds very interesting content and something I've been curious about for some time. My question is more of a UAIM project context. Is there, Scott, maybe you could field this.
Sure.
Is there an expectation, I don't know what better word to use, to in the context of the UAIM project, to if people are in a position to provide a digital AMP to our library for purposes of examples? There may be a spin up time if people really got interested in I know there'll be maybe a built-in delay time-wise, and we have till the end of May. But go ahead, Scott. You know where I'm at.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Mike. I mean, and there are two, kind of avenues for this. One is that in the website, we have the ability to add artifacts, which are basically examples from different utilities, either in terms of the AMP itself or guidelines or processes. So that exists. But what we've also been doing in this group is saying, and I think, Mike, one of your interests was also to get to kind of asset category specific AMPs as well, that we basically can use meetings not just to do workshops on topics, but but basically to have sharing of items from the individual utilities that are useful. So, you know, it's a matter of scheduling, Patricia, right, in terms of what is a workshop, because we do have some hot topics that we want to further explore versus, you know, the additional case examples. And then I'd like to just make the observation that, and Cello started this, but what are we really trying to accomplish here? You know, what we're really trying to accomplish is to basically take what the work that had been done before on AMPs, and basically we're expanding that and we're tailoring it to specific examples that utilities have. And digital AMPs was one of them, and we have some others. We heard from Doug talking about service levels and metrics and then what we want to do is, for these case examples that involve work process, we want to, using Mike Barnett and basically the capabilities that exist in your organization, to document these case studies also in business process terms, so that we can basically load that onto you know, a platform that's going to be available, you know, for the industry is where we're ultimately headed. So that's probably more than you asked, Mike, but does that address your question?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, and then I guess my last question to the group is, when or how do we decide on our second workshop topic? Do we want to do it now because I think we have some time, or do we want to do it via email or virtual poll?
I like the idea of a virtual poll. I think that'd be pretty simple to do.
Yeah, we did have a short list of 2 options because we had 3 options as our first workshops. So it's only 2 left. We just have to choose which one goes first, and then, yeah, get some volunteers to facilitate the second one, hopefully.
Yeah, and we may, since we do have time between now and May, you know, taking Mike's comment, we may want you know, some kind of case study examples on some other topics. But if you did a you know, a poll and basically listed those 3, and then you know, have a place for other examples or something, and maybe even, you know, whether these are, you know, what your priorities are or something, then you know, whatever makes sense, that might be, using a poll is a good idea. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Okay.
I have an idea, but I'm not volunteering for it.
That's okay.
What my idea is, the innovative uses of GIS in asset management planning and developing plans, or contributing to compliance with a plan. More specifically, we have a pretty aggressive, like most folks, condition assessment program, and we're focusing on gravity mains, that asset class, and also force mains, but gravity mains primarily. A lot of CCTV work and attribution and all that. We have all those results, plus we have our kind of a quote normal work that we're generating work orders from our own assets that are out there doing CCTV work. So it's kind of a narrow slice here. What I'm looking for is how people, if there's anything similar like that going on out there, and how they're using GIS, for instance, to bundle together the information and create projects from it. If there's some best practice that we could share or discover. And of course, there could be other GIS applications out there that I'm not aware of or relating here that may be just as interesting or innovative, or if not more so.
Nice. We may actually have a couple of things to show. We have some very interesting GIS. I want to call them solutions and just things that we're exploring. There's a new project going on right now on the use of asset monitoring. So we have some GIS LiDAR images that we're going to explore to see how that can help us. Maybe in the future, see if there's possibility to go into some artificial intelligence to identify asset defects or change in condition. We have a work that is going to start now on Team 100 also on analyzing, this is very specific to Team 100, but using remote sensing to analyze foreshore erosion, which is a huge issue for our assets. We also have a proprietary tool that we built, which is, we call it Estuary Eye. We are monitoring the Thames estuary here. So it's like our own Google, I want to call our own Google Maps for the estuary, where we have all the information on our assets on a database. Yeah, we did some 3D imagery of the estuary too. We have like a Google Street View, but it's a river view of the estuary too. Some cool stuff here. We haven't yet applied all of it. It's very much exploring, and yeah, we're very much in the research part of it yet.
Yeah, Doug could help out with this because I think he was maybe, the author of the idea, but we had talked about, Mike, the technology and different kind of linkages and applications.
Yeah.
And I think Doug put it in the context of data and information, but basically what are the systems and some other solutions and technologies that can link, including GIS and some of these things that Patricia and others would volunteer. So I don't know if that's part of the poll somehow, but and Doug, maybe you want to chime in because I think you were kind of excited about this.
Yeah, I need to think about this a bit more. It was, I think from my perspective, it was more of, I want to see what's out there because we could certainly use some help in this area. We're implementing a new enterprise asset management system. We're replacing a CMMS. And one of the things that I've sort of brought to the team and they're starting to go forward with is doing a mind map of where all of our data and systems are. And, that's sort of a process, we're sort of taking on in-house because we need to do it. So maybe something around that area might be of interest to folks.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike, I think you're definitely onto something because different organizations, some of them use GIS as the the basis for their asset management program, right? And so what are some ways that different participants here might be using, GIS that would be of interest to everybody?
Yep. Okay. So I will, so as for next steps from me, I will send the virtual poll for us to decide via email, for us to decide the January workshop. And that's all I had for today. Are we all happy with what we're going to see in 2 weeks from now?
Very much so.
Okay.
And Patricia, after the workshop, there would be a break. I mean, we should probably look at the schedule a little bit too, right? For January forward, or maybe you already did that. But
I'm
just
afraid
getting
I
through the
did
holidays.
not. I
Yeah.
talked to Cello about it very briefly, and he said, apart from the holidays, our calendar stays as is.
Okay.
So I'm thinking our first meeting is on January 12th, which is when we would plan for the January 26th workshop. Okay. I think we canceled, well, the one on the 29th, and that's the only one. The other one is the next one, 15th. So yeah. So we have the 15th, we don't have the 29th, and then we meet again on the 12th. All right.
Sounds good.
Well, if nobody has anything else, I guess we will give you back 10 minutes of your time.
Thanks.
Good job,
Tricia.
Patricia.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.